Newsmax TV's live coverage of the second presidential debate of 2016 continues. I'm J.D. Hayworth from our national anchor desk, inviting you to call in at 1-877-NEWSMAX. That's 1-877-639-7629. We would be remiss if we did not also ask you to avail yourselves of being involved on the internet by going to newsmaxpolls.com and telling us who you think won tonight's debate. We've got an illustrious panel with us tonight, so we're going to get right to them for their comments. First, Skyping in from New York, senior political editor for Forbes.com and the host of Steele and Ungar on Sirius XM Radio, Rick Ungar. Also via Skype tonight, the man you usually see at noon and 7 p.m. here on Newsmax TV on weekdays and weeknights, host of the eponymously named Steve Malzberg Show. It's Steve Malzberg. And via telephone, a member of the House Committee on Homeland Security and the House Intelligence Committee, my old colleague, Congressman Peter King of New York. First to you, Peter, your take on tonight's debate.
Well, as far as the debate, I thought Donald Trump totally dominated it. I thought as far as the whole issue of the tape, and all of us have been critical of what he said, but I think he showed up front that this should not dominate the rest of the presidential campaign. I thought he showed enough contrition, and then he went on to get it around to the issues that he was strong on. And Hillary, I guess, thought it was smart for her just to sit back and not attempt to rebut what Donald Trump was saying, and he really scored point after point. A few things he said I would have disagreed with as a matter of policy, like, for instance, part of his policy on Syria. But as far as the debate, as far as who won it, if I were a debating judge, I would say he definitely won it. And obviously, 90% of the issues I agreed with him on.
Well, let's turn to Rick Ungar, who usually has a little different perspective on things. Rick, your take tonight as a good Democrat.
Well, look, I mean, the first thing I have to say is I think the American public lost pretty big tonight. I was pretty aghast at the whole event. That said, Donald Trump most certainly did not lose a debate tonight, and I think that's all he had to do. You know, my suspicion is he checked off the boxes extremely well for the Trump base. They're going to certainly stick with him. Obviously, if you're a Clinton fan, you're not going over to Trump. I don't know that I saw any serious outreach to any undecided voters who might be out there, if there are any left at all.
All right. Steve Malzberg, before I get your take, I just want to, earlier we had Dick Morris on here, and here is his assessment. I'll get both your assessment and your reaction to what Brother Morris has to say. Let's listen to Dick here first.
And then at about 9:40, the second question came in, and it was also a question that Hillary had great difficulty with, so that I think the first 45 or 50 minutes of the debate was overwhelmingly a Trump win.
Overwhelmingly a Trump win, at least for the first 50 minutes. Did you see it that way, Steve?
Oh, I think Donald Trump wiped the floor with her. From the beginning, let's talk about the tape. Not only did he put it behind him, for the debate purposes anyway, he educated women. I went out to dinner at a restaurant in Ridgewood, New Jersey over the weekend, a very smart millennial waitress, beautiful, wonderful, intelligent. She had no idea. Everything I told her, Donald Trump told all the women of America who didn't know about Bill Clinton, about Hillary threatening the women, about him being impeached, losing his law license, etc. Women don't know this. He wiped the floor with her. He turned it completely around. Then, of course, on the FBI and the emails, oh my God, she had nothing to say. You could see her reaching for something to say. And then when Martha Raddatz, who was disgraceful for the most part, actually quoted Comey and said, you know, he said you were careless. He said they were classified. Trump got everything in. She didn't know what the C meant. He got everything in tonight, including constantly, as Bernie Sanders says, you have poor judgment. He rocked it.
Well, let's go back to something that you cited, Steve, and that is Mr. Trump responding to the question put to him by Anderson Cooper, which was fairly contentious, concerning the now infamous 11-year-old tape that was released on Friday.
I don't think you understood what was said. This was locker room talk. I'm not proud of it. I apologize to my family. I apologize to the American people. Certainly I'm not proud of it, but this is locker room talk.
Peter King, was that the right response?
I think it was because, listen, he apologized, he used the word apology 2 or 3 times, and he didn't want to get locked in the corner. You know, the media set up this whole thing that Donald Trump wasn't allowed to fight back. He wasn't allowed to raise the issues of the women involved with Bill Clinton. Now, years ago, Steve Malzberg and I used to debate because I was actually against impeachment, but that was for constitutional reasons. The fact is that the conduct there was indefensible, especially as far as Hillary Clinton, and the media keeps saying that he shouldn't bring up about the extramarital affairs. No one's concerned about the extramarital affairs. What you were talking about was alleged abuse of women, and whether it was true or not, the fact is he did pay $850,000 to Paula Jones, and Hillary Clinton did attack these women, and they had a whole squad that went after these women. So it was very legitimate to bring it up, and he brought it up in the right way. I mean, he didn't yell, he didn't scream, and she was taken back. She couldn't answer it, and I think having the women there in the hall also changed the tone of the debate. Let me add one other thing. Now, the fact that we're talking about who won the debate, this whole campaign has now changed. The talk yesterday was, is Donald Trump going to stay on the ticket? Can Donald Trump survive? Is Donald Trump going to be able to show for the debate? Is anyone going to be left supporting Donald Trump? Now our only debate is among us is how much you won the debate by. Well,
to that point, Peter, I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you. Some of your colleagues now on Capitol Hill, a handful of House members, some Senate members, they abandoned Trump. What's your response to that?
Yeah, that was wrong. Listen, Donald Trump in the primaries was not my first or second, even third choice. The fact is he was the nominee, and there's nothing that came out over the last week that should have forced anyone to walk away from Donald Trump. Hey, listen, nobody likes to hear tapes like that. There's an awful lot of men and some women in America who could be heard saying the same thing if they were on tape. We've all had bad moments. And for them to use that as an excuse to bail out on Donald Trump, I thought in many cases it showed just a lack of guts. And really, that's where Trump is, you know, there's different specifics we could disagree with him on, but his overall thrust is that Washington is gutless and doesn't know what they're doing. I think by so many people running away from Trump, that sort of backed that up.
Rick Ungar, you said the American people were losers tonight, but at least in terms, and maybe it's devolved down to entertainment value, there was a zinger tonight that Donald Trump utilized when Hillary Clinton was talking about fact-checking Mr. Trump. Let's listen.
Last time at the first debate, we had millions of people fact-checking, so I expect we'll have millions more fact-checking because, you know, it's just awfully good that someone with the temperament of Donald Trump is not in charge of the law in our country.
Yeah, because you'd be in jail.
Secretary Clinton.
So, Rick Ungar, I know you're trained as an attorney. That was a pretty good line.
Was it? I mean, what I heard was Donald Trump say that if he's elected president, that he wants to put Hillary Clinton in jail, that he'll investigate her. You know, that is straight out of Banana Republic stuff. I'm telling you, man, I'm not going to even pick a side on this. I'm just saying that we have now devolved into reality show debates, and it makes me sick, the whole thing.
Let's give Malzberg the last word on this. Sorry to interrupt, but got to give Steve a minute to talk about it. You get the last minute, Steve. Go.
I mean, I don't know how that's Banana Republic anything. I think what's Banana Republic is, as Donald Trump pointed out, and boy, he was in command of the facts. He brought up everything tonight. He said your husband was on the plane with Loretta Lynch. He brought up everything. That's Banana Republic. Banana Republic is when she can wipe clean emails after they're subpoenaed, and her only answer is nothing. She had no answer. My God, she should be investigated. The best line, I think, though, was when Hillary's emails have been exposed, now some of the speeches she gave to Wall Street, and she said, you got to have two personas. You got to be someone in public with one point of view and someone in private with your real point of view. And she blamed it on Abe Lincoln. She was talking about Abe Lincoln, and reminiscent of the Dan Quayle, Lloyd Benson thing, he said, I wrote it down, he said, there's a big difference, Hillary, between you and honest Abe Lincoln. I thought that was fantastic. He wiped the floor with this woman on everything tonight, and she lost huge, or bigly, whatever you want to say.
Okay, Steve Malzberg, Rick Ungar, and Congressman Peter King, thanks very much. There's more ahead, including your calls, as we continue our Newsmax TV coverage of tonight's presidential debate. Stay tuned.